Hey, VRG family. Give us 1 second. We're having technical difficulties. Welcome. All right. Welcome to, my name is Pamela Bass. I am the broker owner of Virtuous Realty Group, and welcome to episode 4, $1 Million Mindset. Today, I have with me my sister, my friend, my partner in business, Larissa Gaddis, and I'm so grateful that you're here with us.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So can you tell our viewers just a little bit about yourself and all the things that you do on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely. Excuse me, my voice is a little. I'm going to project. My name is Larissa Gaddis. I lead my life in a variety of different ways. First, as woman, I'm a daughter of the Most High, international speaker, author of Leadership Redefined, the guide to stand out in the marketplace, and leadership development coach. I'm a wife to my husband, Brandon Gaddis, of 3 years. He's truly the one who my soul loves. I'm a mother. I have a 2-year-old sweet toddler, Josiah. She keeps me on my knees in prayer.
And all the children.
Yeah, listen. And CEO. I'm co-founder of Victory Brand Luxury Timepiece Company, where me and my husband created a timepiece that represents our timeless faith. I am co-founder of With You in Mind Concierge Business Solutions, where we offer a tailored experience to our clients, specifically in the areas of human resource and operations, and helping them establish strong systems, processes, and infrastructure for growing in small businesses. And I'm co-founder of Faith is Timeless Foundation. That's our nonprofit leg, where we're out here ministering, establishing ministry in the marketplace.
I love it.
Yes.
So guys, listen, that was a lot. And so if there's any area that you need her, I'm going to go ahead and put that plug really quick, then you reach out to her. But we'll get to that point. I am so glad that you're here. Like, I don't know if y'all understand, but we have had to reschedule this thing due to weather, due to family events, all the things. But we have her here. And just so you know, we have 2 episodes this month because my sister was supposed to be our March. But anyway, we're going to get your mindset together. Have you have that $1 million mindset. So let's dive in. So,
$1 million mindsets,
Yeah.
right? So let's talk about you wear a lot of hats, you do a lot of things, you're involved in a lot of things, and with that you're having to transition into, different mindsets of what you're doing. So
Absolutely.
I want you to just kind of talk about how do you manage that without compartmentalizing and things falling through the cracks and people pulling on you and that sort of thing. And I know I'm asking you a lot, so we'll kind of dissect it piece by piece. But first, let's just talk about how do you manage each of those mindsets, because you're having to, you're dealing with different things and different pieces. So if you could just kind of help us understand that as we're building $1 million mindset.
Yeah. When you're managing different aspects of life, especially in leadership, being a woman and then coming home and submitting to husband and then still serving baby, it definitely requires an intentionality. It requires an intentionality. I have to, establish strong boundaries so that I understand that when I'm here, then I cut that off and I'm here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I really try not to bring work into home. I'm leader, CEO, managing teams during the day, handling client work during the day. And then when I get home, I don't have to be leader. I can rest in knowing that my husband is leader and I can be submissive to that, right? I'm still leading in the aspect of nurturing. I still have a voice as a woman in the home, but I can rest, right? And I think sometimes women in leadership especially, it can be challenging because we feel like we're leading at home, we're leading at work, then we're coming home leading, right? But really, we can rest in that space and allow the leader, in the order in which God has positioned husband, wife, right? The leader to lead the home, we support. It switches to a support role and a support leadership role at that point. And so I would say just establishing boundaries, knowing that when I'm here, I'm here. When I'm home, it's different. And it's not ever perfect. So extending grace to self,
Yes.
extending grace to self because it's never perfect, right? It's never perfect.
And you said boundaries, and oftentimes when we hear that word, we're thinking about the external, like the people that we allow in and the things that we do. But having self boundaries
Yeah.
and making self understand, like this is work time and this is home time, and being able to, as you say, rest in that, knowing that now I'm in a support role.
Mhm.
And even for our moms who aren't married
was
or
gonna say.
are haven't don't have that leadership in their home yet, we have to set those boundaries.
Yeah.
Because what ends up happening is we'll bring that work mindset into the home and we're not nurturing in the home because we're trying to run it as we've ran all day, right? So those boundaries, and we have to stick to our boundaries.
Yeah.
And so that grace part also matters as well. And I also think that's a mindset as well. So when you talk about giving yourself grace, what are some things that we can do to ensure that we're offering that grace to us in a mindset manner?
For one, like extending grace is understanding that it's not perfection, it's progression, right? Like, I mean, it's challenging sometimes to lead at work and not come home and lead, right? It can be challenging. Yeah, it can be. So it's not necessarily something that you're going to do perfect all the time, right? But extending grace is saying, okay, I didn't do this right today. I'm going to try better tomorrow. Extending grace can be an apology to husband, apology to children, right? Like, and extending grace is even in the setting of boundaries. Like, there's some things that we can do in that space, right? As far as like putting phone that goes automatically to do not disturb, right? Like, and those type of small tweaks will allow us to then like, okay, I don't have to apologize for taking this work call right now because I've already got these things in place, but extending grace is understanding fully that it's not going to be perfect. It's a work in progress. Admitting your fault, taking ownership and responsibility, and just continuing to try again. A lot of it is self-awareness. A lot of it is like doing those heart checks and saying, okay, like today I didn't do it right. Like owning it, being aware of what your tendencies are, and then establishing those boundaries, right? Systems in your own world, right? To mitigate it from continuing to happen again.
And when you talked about setting boundaries, I think another way that helps you be present is by setting those boundaries. By being present with husband or with child, or even being present in your meetings. Because oftentimes we're doing this all the time. But if we set those boundaries and say, hey, I'm in this meeting for X, Y, Z amount of time, then you can absolutely be present when you are. So I want you to touch on what you said. You said for those women who does not have that role of, they can't rest when they get home because they have to have those kids and things like that. So before getting married, or even you can speak on it now, how does those women who can't rest because they're constantly their mom, their CEO, their whatever, how can you speak to those women?
From the place of
from the place of
so like for me, I'm a single mother, but I still have to come out and do business and be a part and lead in where I am, even in church. And excuse me, I'm trying to see, it never ends. It never ends. But just having to, you're constantly wearing those hats. And so for myself personally, I can only speak for me. Sometimes it's hard to take that hat off and say, okay, I'm home. I'm going to be present here in the moment. But I find myself trying to do it all. And, what I notice is oftentimes you're irritable because you're trying to do things that you should just say, hey, I'm done. And then come and be present in this moment. So what advice or what would you say would be something to help someone like myself to ensure that, I'm allotting those boundaries for myself, for my son, as, I go throughout the day, the week, the month.
In order to get that habit.
I would say, like, it's always important to remember that before you were wife, mother, CEO, you were a woman.
I love that she started that out.
Yes.
I'm a woman.
You're woman first.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not the best version of yourself for everybody else. And so I think it's necessary to have that intentional time for yourself, right? In wearing different hats, sometimes that looks like you have to get up at 5 a.m.
Yes.
Right? Sometimes that looks like, again, you're up early or you're up late,
Right.
because the house and the world is not going to stop moving. And so I have to carve out intentional time for myself in the morning to even be what I need to be for all the different roles throughout the day. So that's usually a 5 to 6 a.m. quiet time, right? That's time before I go to bed reading a book. That's my standing gym appointment, right? So it's maybe carving out a specific spa day, like just make time for you so that you can make sure that you're getting what you need, and that's connecting to a source, right? Like, and make time for you so that you can build you up as you're being depleted throughout the day. And it's a constant. I notice that when I don't do my quiet time, before 8:30, 9 o'clock, good, yeah. You know, like that's the reality of it. If I don't have an outlet to go to the gym, then okay, I can feel that through the day, right? So it's important to have, like, even with a mindset, make sure you're carving out intentional personal development. Maybe that's reading your Bible, maybe it's reading a book, maybe it's doing affirmations, maybe it's listening to your favorite podcast, right? Maybe it's prayer, whatever that looks like for you, but making sure you carve in that time for you. That's really where the growth mindset occurs, right? Because you're replenishing. It's a constant replenishing. If you, just like anything, you can't drive your car around all for the next month and think that you're not going to have to refill the gas tank, right? But sometimes as women, we feel like we can just keep going and going and going and going without a refill. And it's important to know that, like, no, you've got to stop, slow down, take time for you, pour back into you so you can pour back out to others.
That's really good.
That is so good.
And I just really want to make point that when we're talking about $1 million mindset, it's not the dollar sign, right? It's about the mindset and having I would like to call it a luxurious mindset, right? Because you have, as you said, you're not depleted. You have what you need to do the things that you have to do on a day-to-day basis. And so as we were talking about the title for this episode, and, we've sat with it for a while because we've had to do some rescheduling, I really was thinking about it. I was like, when you think about $1 million mindset, the first thing people think about is money, right? But even if you look at it from a money perspective, if your mindset is trash, the money doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And then you're not productive enough to manage whatever the source is for that, right? So let's just kind of dive into, for both of you ladies as CEOs, the moment you realize that this is what I know I've been called to do, what did you have to change in your thinking?
I think for me, knowing that I was about to take a big leap, to start a business and not know what it would be like 3 years later, and now from me actually setting boundaries and being present, we're sitting here on VRG TV. I was able to hear the vision or see the vision, and here we are. So I think just taking that time, and we don't have enough time to talk about how I got here, but a lot of people already know my story, right? But just tuning in and knowing that it was something bigger than me that I needed to release. But how do I do that when I am mom, I am wife, I love my friends and my family, but no, Pam, you have to take time to understand or to execute on all of this stuff that God has downloaded inside of you. And so, and I've gotten better with it, y'all. I viewers,
yes.
I have evolved.
If you're not, there's a problem.
And if you haven't, there's a problem. So evolving with setting those boundaries. Like literally, it was so funny. So her husband, my brother, has attempted to call me, and my phone is on like a permanent do not disturb, just so everyone knows. So it's not just you, because I got a message. I don't know if my photographer is watching, but Dr. Savage, he said, really? When he saw the auto response that says, for a quicker response, contact my executive assistant. Because I can't be everything to everybody, especially so. And this was also on a Monday. So Mondays, you know this, and especially you know this, but on Mondays, I take Mondays to just be and reset. I don't care if you text or call. If you don't get a response, I promise you get one Tuesday to Friday.
That's it.
But just setting those boundaries and sticking to them and being consistent in everything that you do is kind of how Virtuous came about, and then VRG TV, and then VRGU, and then all of the things. I'm able to actually see where I'm going. So, like, where are you going? If your mindset's not right, you don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah, that's so good. I would say first perspective, right? I think one of the things that in entrepreneurship, it's like glorified as if it's going to be this beautiful cakewalk all the time. Peaches and cream and strawberries and cherries.
All the time.
It's glorified. But if you don't have an underlining purpose and why, like there are going to be hard days, there's going to be challenges, and you're going to quit on it. And so if you don't know what your purpose and what your why is and why you're here and why you're doing this, you won't be able to sustain this. Like, I want to put that out there for everybody real clear, right?
Yes.
But even in that, it's a perspective, right? Because you can be in a season, you can be in a storm, you can be in a challenge, but if you approach it with the right perspective, you understand still that this is beneficial, still that I've got to get something out of this to get to the next, right? Additionally, what I would say has really carried me through is the accountability of the people.
Yes.
It's like knowing that I'm doing this for my family, I'm doing this for my loved ones, and there's people to be my best self. Like, that is what drives me every day. Like Larissa, okay, I know you really don't want to get out of bed today. You really don't want to show up on live today. But somebody is waiting for what you carry. Somebody is waiting to hear your voice, right? Somebody is waiting. And God has a way of literally like constantly nudgingly, gracefully reminding you, right? Like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while message. Or is everything okay? You just were on my heart message, right?
Yeah.
And so he has a way of like nudgingly, okay, daughter, you know, take a breather, but get back at it, you know? And so I would say perspective is really big, and the accountability piece.
That is so good. So there's people, I'm hearing what you say, and there's people attached to us that need
what we
carry.
They need it.
And not only that, it brought me back to my niece, actually two of my nieces that they live in Texas. They're watching me all the way from Texas.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, Aunt Pam, you know, would real estate be a good field to get in? And I'm like, wow, like,
you never know.
You just never know who's watching. So we got to show up for the people who's watching.
Yeah. I had a cousin just last week send me a messenger like, Larissa, I'm looking for and I knew you would know. Give me a call when.
Yeah.
And then I get on the phone with her and she literally says, I've been watching you from Georgia. I've been watching. So you never know who's watching you. And that's why we have to continue showing up as our best self. And that will shift a mindset, right? Like when you understand that this is not about me.
Yes.
Like this is not about me. When you're called to leadership, when you're called to entrepreneurship, like it's accepting first that it really doesn't have anything to do with you.
That's it. Nothing. It's bigger than us.
It is.
The impact.
It is.
It's all about the impact.
It is.
And you know, you talk about perspective, and you were talking about the entrepreneurship and how people sometimes get this distorted illusion that it's this peaches and cream.
I love it.
And I think we have to understand, right, as individuals, we may not all be called to that.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
it doesn't diminish who we are and what we do,
Yeah.
right? Because you're an entrepreneur, but I also know that I am one that carries a support role,
Yeah.
right? I am well in supporting.
Yes.
I'm gonna hold your arms
Yes.
up, and I am a-okay with that.
Yeah.
And I've also learned that in that perspective, you also know that there are seasons, right?
Yes.
And so you may be somewhere for a season, and
Yes.
then it's time to move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you don't carry importance,
Yeah.
right? And so that perspective of your role where you are
Yeah.
will
Planet,
also where you're planted.
Mhm.
I think will also help where you're going.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think
All leaders have support.
Yes.
We would not be
Those
here.
are the most important people.
right.
We could even be in this very moment without support.
Yes. Yes.
We have families.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Like we could even be in this very moment without support. Somebody right now is supporting us and our kids for us to be here right now. Right?
Yes.
Like the support leaders of the world are important.
Yes.
They are truly important. It's a valuable aspect and component to the bigger picture, right?
Just say that again. And I'm asking you to say that again because I just feel like some of our viewers who have been trying to break out into that entrepreneurial role and they just come up against that friction. It's not bad that you're coming up against that friction, but it could just simply be that you're meant to be in a different role than entrepreneurship, right? And it doesn't devalue your gifts, your skills, your talents, or any of that. And if we can get into that place and understand with perspective, we can go further faster.
Utilize those gifts where you are because entrepreneurship, everybody's not called
for the faint.
It's not for the faint.
It's not. And I mean, and to some degree, we're all in a support leader role.
That's it.
Right.
You're supporting your husband.
Yes.
I'm supporting my clients.
Yes.
I'm supporting my husband.
Yes.
Right? Like we're still all a support leader in some degree, right? My client has a business. I'm the customer to her, and I'm supporting her, right? We're all still in a support leadership role to some degree. We're supporting our leader of the church, right? We're still all in a support leadership role. It's an extremely valuable space because one, it teaches you service.
I was going to say, you have to have a servant's heart.
Yes.
In every role that you're in, you have to have a servant's heart.
And that's what I always say, like, you're a servant leader, you're a servant wife, you're a servant mother. You have to put that there because that draws perspective, right? And it makes you remember it's not just about you. It's about everybody. As you've been saying, it's the impact is bigger, and we don't know who's watching. Right? Because the 4, 5, 10, 20 people who may say, oh, you know, I watch your this or I watch your that doesn't even amount to the hundreds who
never say
anything, right?
That is so funny. So I have a client, his name is Ernest Bailey. I know he doesn't mind me name dropping. And so he always calls me billionaire. Like he's watching, he sees the billboards. He'll pull up in the parking lot. You know, he's always celebrating me. It's people like that too that keeps me motivated to keep going and to reach those billions. I'm just kidding, but no, it's people like that,
right?
I'm kidding, no, not
kidding.
That was a degree,
right? We're touching and agreeing on that one.
I love it. But it's people like that motivates me to keep going and to keep showing up. Like they're literally excited when they see, like the Mother's Day, the Mother's Day, and if they see another billboard or like, I love people like that. Just like pushing and clapping. It helps with that mindset when people are actually expressing versus watching silently.
I want to note too that even in developing a $1 million mindset, it's important that you're around the right people.
That part.
You've got to have the right community because even the perspective, the wisdom, the knowledge, like we wouldn't have gotten that if we hadn't exposed ourselves to it, sat in that support leadership role, learned, served, right? Like around those who are where we're going or where we're trying to go, right? Like it's a constant being coachable and being teachable and being moldable and learning and growing and taking what you hear and actually, if it challenges your thought process, sitting with that. right?
Yes.
If it's not exactly in alignment with what you believe, like sit with that for a minute and say, do I need to shift my philosophy and my belief system around this?
Yes.
Understand it, right? Like, because it could be that to get to where you're wanting to go, it's requiring a breaking and a transforming in you,
That's so good.
And so community is big when it comes to just a mindset.
Yes.
A mindset. It's being around those who are. If you're the saying, right? If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room.
Right.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And growth doesn't come without challenge.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So we have to remember that when you're placed in a place that's going to challenge you, the thing we should say is, how can I grow from this?
Yeah.
And I'll use the example. Pam kicked me out of the nest, like back foot straight square in the back. So you're gonna go and you're gonna go do this radio interview. And I mean I'm panicking up until the moment I sit down and I put the headset on. And everybody that knew I had to do it, they're like, that's what you do, just show up and go do it. And it doesn't matter, how much they say it. If I don't hear it and believe it, it's never going to change my mind, right?
Never.
And so that moment, and then seeing the pictures and just kind of remembering, like sitting down and knowing that, oh wow, I had this opportunity. Marquita, you can do this.
Yeah.
This is what you were created to do. And so that changing of my thought of who I am and how I see myself makes a big difference, regardless of. The cheerleaders can be there, go.
Yes.
But if you never embrace it for yourself,
yes,
and if you never make your mind up and say that I can or I am,
that's good. That's a mindset.
It is. In my book, I talk about 4 essentials, and one of those 4 essentials is self-awareness, worth, and value. It doesn't matter who tells you what if you don't believe it for yourself. If you don't believe it for yourself, like you've got to believe it for yourself. And you've got to get to a place where you're believing the truth about you, not what the world says about you, not the lies that are being whispered in your ear, or what abusive parent, boyfriend told you growing up, right? Like understanding who you are, who God says that you are, what's the truth about you, and then knowing, standing in that truth, standing in that truth. And it's in that space where you become more aware, right? And you can take those leaps forward confidently and say, no, this is who I'm called to be. And so I'm going to own it in this moment and do what I'm called to do.
And that's the ownership of it, right? We have to own who we know we've been called to be, right?
Yeah.
And even in that ownership, owning up and saying, you know what, hey, maybe I bit off a little bit more than I should.
Yeah.
Not that you're not capable, but sometimes we have to recalibrate. We have to take a step back so that we're managing those pieces in a way that does not cause us burnout, that does not cause us to be frustrated or, want to give up, right? Because sometimes we'll tackle things and it can cause us to be like, you know what, this is too big. Let me just step back from it. And so having, again, that awareness of yourself, that's a mindset, which helps you, in my opinion, manage the pieces as you go along.
That's it. Absolutely.
Listen, honey, I could sit here and talk to y'all all day long. No, because it's just really good. It's refreshing when you have the opportunity to sit down and talk about those things, the mindset, and how, just as women, and not to say that men don't deal with different things or challenges as we do, but I saw this picture today and it had 4 people, 2 women and 2 men, and they were on a racetrack, right? And they were talking about how reaching our goals. And when you looked at the picture, it had the women and it had all the things that we do, motherhood, laundry, cooking, and then the men's lane were kind of free, right? But we know that as believers, that's not always the case, right? Because it's a shared load. And I think as we understand ourselves as women, we can help, for those who are married and then those of us who are aspiring to marriage, we can help our husbands better because our mind is not bogged down with trash.
Yes, that's it. Oh, there's so many things that I want to touch on. Go ahead.
I was talking to my sister and she was like, Chris, like I'm trying to understand, like your mind is just going. And I have to like literally like find those moments to just shut it down, right? Yesterday was one of those like very real days where it's just like, okay, this is just too much right now. And I found myself going outside, sitting on my front porch, kicking my legs up on the patio
Yes.
sofa for a minute
Yeah.
and catching my breath. And I was there for an hour just meditating
Yeah.
because I needed that moment for me. If I hadn't done that, because just in the next hour, I find crying baby with upset stomach, and that's when you're irritable, and that's when you're lashing out, and that's when you can't be what they need you to be, right?
And it doesn't make you inadequate.
It
To
doesn't.
recognize that.
Yes.
That is a moment of strength.
And
We
that's
talked about that.
Yes, we did.
Power.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
you guys missed the virtuous gathering. Oh my goodness.
When you can admit, I need a recharge, I need a refill, that
I need
is
a
the
break. I need a
strongest
moment.
stance. Yes, that's the
Yes.
strongest stance that you can be in because it's saying like, I'm not going to go forward hurting people and empty. I'm gonna take this moment, shut the phone down, get in the bathtub, and just whoop,
Yes.
woosah for a
Right,
moment.
right,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And my son laughs at me, but I've been trying to work on this thing where when we get home, we decompress.
Yeah.
Like, let's not talk about anything until we have had a moment to just decompress. Because what I noticed is, you have teenagers, and so you know what that's like. Like they are trying to manage their mindsets and who they are and growing into their own persons. And it's like when you come home fresh off your day and you're trying to talk to them, and it's like,
Yeah.
and I was like, no, because one of us not gonna make it.
You
So,
take a minute, I'm gonna take a minute.
right, and I don't care what you go do it, and in an hour we'll come back and we'll reconvene. And what I'm noticing is it's far less tension.
Yes.
I'm less, irritable, and I don't lash out. I'm able to hear him.
Yes.
I'm able to respond to him.
Yes.
I'm able to extend grace.
Yes.
When I'm like, I've told you 1,700 times,
Yes.
but I'm able to. Whereas before I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And so that decompressing, taking that moment to come home, I sit in the car. I don't know about anybody else, but that is the best
sit there
place.
for hours.
That is one of the best places.
It is.
Take that minute.
I'll sit there for hours. But you just took me back to Sunday. Sunday was a huge day. But leading up to Sunday, y'all, I take excellence to another level.
Ooh. So this is excellence. The roof need to be taken off.
You guys should see the cameraman.
He's telling the truth. He is so telling the truth. I experience it daily.
I do, because I know I'm representing something that's way bigger than that.
Yes.
And so I like to show up. And so I went to practice with Courtney Duncan, who's a former baseball player. And I'm exhausted before Sunday even gets here.
She couldn't even lift the arm.
My arm would not move, guys. And so Sunday, I'm relieved a little bit because it's over. I've done the first pitch and it's over. So I take Monday as my day, right? Well, I needed Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But I had to push myself out of bed Tuesday. But you know what I did? So typically my day starts around 8 o'clock in office. But before that, I'm laying in bed, I'm reading, I'm doing something, or just me and God time, right? But I gave myself permission to just lay there longer.
It's that permission.
Listen.
And it is so free.
Yes.
That's grace.
That is. That's all by itself, right? Because the little voices are like, you need to do
You
this.
gotta do
You gotta
this.
do this. You gotta do that.
Yes.
You gotta do this.
Yes.
And then you realize I gave myself permission and the world is running
The
now.
world, nothing's on fire. So we have a team meeting every Tuesday at 10:30. I don't want to tell my story. But I gave myself permission to just lay there. Our team meeting starts at 10:30. So I'm like, okay, it's just 8. I can lay here a little bit longer. Well, 10 approached and I'm still not moving out of the bed. My husband called and he's like, it sounds like you're still in bed. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And so one of my staff members, my agent liaison texts and she's like, hey, what time is the meeting? And it's like 10. And I said, are you sitting today? Because she sits for a local builder. And she says, no, but I haven't left home. And I'm like, oh, don't rush. You can take your time. We'll start the meeting at 11, but I'm still in bed. I really didn't want to move, but I knew that we're preparing for the heart walk. So I knew I had to go, but man, just laying there a little bit longer just really just. So just giving yourself permission.
It is.
Yes.
And in wearing the multiple hats and doing all the things, like I coming off the virtuous gathering, like I'm like, no, I'm gonna take 2 days.
Yeah.
I couldn't even remember the last time I actually took 2 days as an entrepreneur.
Oh my goodness.
And, you know, I wasn't having a mommy all day, and you know, like not 4 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like. And so it makes a difference.
Yes, it does.
It does.
And I can tell you guys my date. The date that I last took was like July of 2021. I'm just dropping a plug for any husbands or anything watching out there. Like Mr. Murky Bass. But literally, I haven't vacationed since, well, I could be fibbing, but like a real vacation, July of 2021.
I mean, because we have those moments, right? Yeah. But like that real deal.
And when you think about real deal vacation, it's truly being unplugged.
It is.
Always.
Right? All the way.
No phone,
no computer. You're not checking emails. But when you just take a weekend and you're still checking your phone, that's just a mild rest, right? A mild rest because it's not even a full rest.
Yes, a mild rest.
A mild rest, right? But we have to be intentional about that, you know, and that's what, you know, it goes back to that. So planning that time and sticking to it and knowing that we're not going to let anything violate that time for us, right? And, you know, when we have our families together, putting the phone away, turning it off, and just unplugging, because at the end of the day, nothing is going to happen that cannot wait until you're back. Because guess what happens when you don't? You're on vacation, you're in your phone trying to answer, do this, do that, and your family's irritated because you're not present. You know, and so just taking that moment to say, hey, it matters. And it's not just about me, it's about our families, because they sacrifice, right? They make a lot of sacrifices and they deal with a lot of when you're not present because of what you have to do. You know, as an entrepreneur, as a woman in business, as a leader, as a man in business, they sacrifice a lot, you know, and it's just important for us to make them feel important.
That's it. So going back, guys, we're going to recap really quick. So $1 million mindset does not have a dollar sign on it. It's I heard boundaries. I heard being present, intentional,
perspective.
Perspective. All of those things, but more so boundaries is what I heard. So you'll need to set boundaries in this season, right here in the second quarter, in order to reach that $1 million mindset. Is there anything else that you can share with our viewers? Anything at all about reaching that $1 million mindset? Is there anything you want?
I love the self-awareness.
Like
I think that's a big piece of it. So the self-awareness and helps you set boundaries.
Absolutely. And I'll close with a personal story. When it came to me courting my husband and our relationship and getting married, I realized that if I was going to go into this relationship being celibate, that I had to set boundaries, right? It goes back to self-awareness. I know Larissa. Larissa's not going to be able to listen to this and watch that and not, right? And so, again, boundaries is not limited to shutting your phone off. It's not limited to taking some time to yourself, like in whatever way, whatever aspect of life, right? It can be in dating, it can be in building a business, right? It could be in starting, you're newlywed, it could be you just had a baby or you've got children, right? Like whatever aspect. You may just have a goal that you want to set. You need to get off Instagram for a little bit. Right? So you can focus. Right? Like, and so boundaries is not limited to one particular area or space. It's in whatever area you're finding that you can't progress forward. There's no forward motion. That may be an indication that you need to set some boundaries.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is so good.
I feel like we need a part two because
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
there's so much to unpack in this,
Yeah.
and it just
So good.
yeah, so rich, so good.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. So I hope that you guys got some type of nugget gem from this $1 Million Mindset episode. And we're gonna have to bring you back on because I feel like we could just go on and on when it talks about. But first, guys, just start with setting boundaries.
Yeah.
You heard her. That doesn't mean just turning your phone off, right? And then just having a new perspective. Where I want you to write down where are we going? And that could be your family. If it's just you, where am I going? Write that down, and then what's your steps to getting there? That's a mode of mindset.
Yeah.
Like actually knowing where you're going.
Yeah.
My coach, see, I'm starting a new conversation, but I'm gonna say this and then we're gonna be done. My coach gave us homework, and we're gonna meet next month in June 3rd to be exact. And she said, I want you to write down where you're gonna be in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 15 years. Like that's major. Like that helps you to think. Most people don't know what they're gonna be doing next year. So to actually sit down and write that out,
it puts some thought into it.
It's powerful.
It is powerful.
There are statistics around thinking things and what manifests from thinking things, writing things and what manifests from writing things, and how that ties to you actually achieving goals.
yes.
Like there are strong statistics that show that people who actually write things down accomplish 10 times more things than people who just think about it and never write it down.
Yes. Wow.
Like it's something about getting it out of your head. I think Michael Todd said it's just imagination when it's in your head.
Right.
That's not vision, that's imagination still.
That's it.
And so taking it out of your mind and writing it down, that will help you know and see clearly where you're going.
That's it. That's it. So I'm not gonna add anything else. But we're so grateful to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. And tell us, how can they find you? How can they book with you? Things like that.
Absolutely. My website is IamLarissaNicole.com. I am Larissa Nicole on Instagram, Larissa Hobbs Gaddis on Facebook and LinkedIn. Definitely get connected. I would love to connect with you if anything resonated with you. Thank you so much for having
me. Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us, whether it's live or on the replay. This is episode 4 of VRG TV, $1 Million Mindset. We'll see you on the next episode. Actually, next Tuesday. See you soon. Bye.